Hi, I'm Catherine Macy. I'm one of the staff here and here to give the meditation talk tonight. And tonight we're talking about Wu Wei and flow. So Wu Wei is a Chinese term, and I'm actually not even certain that I'm pronouncing it correctly, so I apologize if I'm not. But it's often translated as inaction, inexertion, or effortless action. And it's this last part that I want to kind of focus on for the minute. I'm going to go through some different ideas, different ways that Wu Wei has been translated into English, and even some different ways. It sounds to me, as I was researching this, it sounds to me like Wu Wei has even changed its meaning within Chinese culture over the years as well. So here's something that I wanted to bring in, though, in the T'ai Chi. It's a core concept emphasizing acting in harmony with nature, with the natural flow of the Tao, rather than forcing or striving. So like rather than trying to control something, trying to make something happen, you're aligning yourself with the natural events of the universe, basically. If you believe in a higher power or God, it would be aligning yourself with God, aligning yourself with the higher power. So here we're talking about aligning ourselves with the forces of nature that have a natural way of, like life happens, right? We can't always control what life is going on about. And if you can be in this state of harmony with the universe and with the flow of nature, with the flow of life itself, and not be in conflict with it, then that is a state of Wu Wei. And that was really the Confucius idea, which I have a little bit of a chronology in here as well. And then Taoism, which stemmed from Confucianism, emphasized the alignment with the natural Tao, with actions and intentions, of avoiding force or haste against the natural order. So this part is really interesting, where in Wu Wei we're talking about bringing actions and intentions together. So if you imagine that by intention is to remain calm during the day, and a natural action to that would be to keep coming back to my breath and being with my breath and being in that state of, I'm calm, great. Not like I'm forcing it, but like I'm being it. That would be, in this sense, a state of Wu Wei, being in the natural accordance of the way the universe is going and the natural order. And okay, so I did a little bit of research, and I'm going to read this little bit, because this little bit is like, okay, this is research into Wu Wei. Sinologist, which is somebody who studies Chinese things, Jean-Francois Billeterre, describes Wu Wei as a state, and I quote, state of perfect knowledge or understanding of the coexistence of the situation and perceiver, perfect efficaciousness, and the realization of a perfect economy of energy. Okay, so let me translate that, because it's a lot. So here he's bringing in the idea of knowledge into Wu Wei as well. So he's saying that Wu Wei also includes a state of knowledge about the world, of knowledge about our state, of knowledge about the things that are happening around us, and the coexistence of the situation and the perceiver. So that's what's going on around me and what is happening for myself. And then the perfect efficaciousness and the realization of a perfect economy of energy, which basically means doing the most efficient action that you can do that will have the intention carried out, right? So we're not pushing more than we have to. We're not pulling more than we have to. There's a natural amount of force that we're putting into any situation that allows ourselves to be in the natural state of flow of things, right? And when we think about that, if we think about doing, say, a giant John Hook punch throw, right? The person's coming in with us with a looping hook punch, and we get into the perfect center of that, of their energy, their hook, and then we just guide them down to the ground. There's not much effort from us at all. All of the energy is coming from outside of us. We're just guiding it just a little bit. And when you can be in that state, that is a state of Wu Wei, right? Because you are taking that energy that's coming towards you, and you're just, with a little bit of intention, just a tiny little bit of attention and only just enough effort, you're allowing that energy to be guided to its natural conclusion, which is your partner being on the floor. And Confucius' conception of virtue can only be attained by not consciously trying to attain it. So this is where all of the things about effortless effort and striving without striving, all of those kind of concepts come from. It's like trying to capture something means that you can't capture it. It's like the concept of when you're measuring quantum physics, as soon as you put a measurement probe or something like that in there, you're influencing the outcome, and you can't actually measure the thing that you wanted to measure. You can't actually do that. So it's like when I'm trying to think of something right now to say exactly, to give you a really good example, and I'm really straining to think of something to find, that's not it. It's like just being present to the thought that's actually there, and that is the thing that is supposed to come out, right? So a little bit later on in history, Wu Wei starts to become regarded as the skill of becoming a fully realized human being. And that, I don't know whether that came from Western philosophy seeping into Chinese philosophy, or whether it was Chinese philosophy seeping into like Greek philosophy and Western philosophy. But being a fully realized human being and that concept of enlightenment, where it's, coming in and out of India and that area there where there's that concept of enlightenment. So now Wu Wei is being merged with this concept of being realized, being a fully realized human being. So there's a poem here which I quite liked. It says, "When your body is not aligned, the inner power will not come. When you are not tranquil within, your mind will not be well ordered. Align your body, assist the inner power, then it will gradually come on its own." Right, so we're looking to that place where we're in natural alignment with the universe, where our power is going to come from that natural alignment without extra effort. And then, this stuff's always like contradictory. Though by still needing to make a cognitive effort, perhaps not resolving the paradox of not doing, the concentration on accomplishing Wu Wei through this physiological would influence later thinkers. So now they're coming around almost full circle where they're saying, now maybe our physiology can influence our actions, right? So instead of going within to start with and then our actions coming from that, it's like perhaps our physiology can influence our our internal state to start with. Maybe we start with that. I'm not going to read the next thing, that was too long. And really getting attained through relaxed efforts. So, and then this is something else that came out of here, which it's a little long, but we're going to do it. There is a Newman or a Shen, a naturally residing within. One moment it goes, the next it comes, and no one is able to conceive of it. If you lose it, you are inevitably disordered. If you attain it, you are inevitably well-ordered. Diligently clean out its lodging place, and its vital essence will naturally arrive. Still your attempts to imagine and conceive of it. Relax your efforts to reflect on and control it. Be reverent and diligent, and its vital essence will naturally stabilize. Grasp it and don't let go, then the eyes and ears won't overflow, and the mind will have nothing else to seek. When a properly aligned mind resides within you, the myriad things will be seen in their proper perspective, which is a reference to the 10,000 things from the T'ai Chi, right? And so this is really just saying, make sure you sit and meditate and be one with your mind, and find that place within where you can be still with yourself, both externally and internally, and practice that and bring that into the rest of your life so you can carry that around with you as you go through your day. And then I found this really interesting part about the political or way that rulers in China used Wu Wei. It had this really interesting connotation that a person, a ruler, somebody who is in charge, a person of authority, would bring in Wu Wei, which meant that they didn't bring in their own personal opinion. Like, they left their own opinion to the side, and they tried to bring no action, no thought into what it is that they were hearing, so they could hear it objectively. And then they would be able to decide from there whether or not certain actions should be taken or whatever. And I thought that was a really interesting way of bringing Wu Wei into life, right? So being able to be really objective in our day-to-day endeavors without bringing too much emotion, without bringing too much of our own opinions and things like that into life. And as I was, reading about Wu Wei and coming to grips with all of this, I also was thinking about flow. And flow is a concept that's been made popular within this positive psychology movement in the last, for 30, 40 years or so. And people have actually been researching flow and looking to see, well, what is flow and how does that manifest in our lives? And it's colloquially known as being in the zone. It's a mental state in which a person performing some activity is fully immersed in a feeling of energized focus, full involvement, and enjoyment in the process of the activity. In the essence, flow is characterized by the complete absorption of what one does and the resulting transformation in one's sense of time. It's a melting together of action and consciousness, the state of finding a balance between a skill and how challenging that task is. It requires a high level of concentration, and it's also used as a coping skill for stress and anxiety when productively pursuing a form of leisure that matches one's skill set. But I really got caught on, flow is the melting together of action and consciousness. And to me, that sounds a lot like how they were describing Wu Wei, where we're thinking about action and intention, right? And having our intention align with reality, and then having our actions align with that intention. And so perhaps being in a state of Wu Wei is similar to being in a state of flow. And is it exactly the same? Maybe not. I mean, the psychologists have a lot of like rules around what has to be present in order for flow to be met. They say that activity must have clear goals and progress. So you have structure and direction. The task must provide clear and immediate feedback, and that helps to negotiate any changing demands and allows you to adjust your performance to maintain the flow state. And then good balance is required between the perceived challenges of the task and one's perceived skills. So this is a super interesting example, and we see it here in the dojo all the time, where somebody thinks that they're being really terrible at some technique, and really they're not. They're actually being pretty darn good. But if you perceive for yourself that you're not doing it very well, then when you're asked to do it, maybe it's in a particularly challenging state, like in the middle of a sparring drill, then you feel like the challenge is too hard for you to be able to do that, right? So in that case, you're not going to be in a state of flow because it's for you, quote unquote, too hard, right? But if you've got a challenge where you're bringing in skills that you feel pretty comfortable with, and you're in that state of like a more challenging drill, then you're like, okay, I can do this. And you can go ahead and do that and be in the state of flow in that moment in time. So can we then be in a state of flow and be in a state of Wu Wei at the same time? I think that's pretty possible. And I think that it's a very similar to state to describe yourself in. There's a state of being centered. There's a state of being knowing of what it is that you're doing, and there's a state of being able to execute the thing that you're doing at least reasonably well to your ability, right? And matching the challenge of the situation. And if you're in that environment, then that's an environment where Wu Wei can exist. So I just say that we get to practice Wu Wei and the state of flow. And one of the first things that people say about doing that is being able to control our thoughts and being able to control how it is we're interacting with our environment. And we do that most simply by sitting and meditating. So we're going to do that now, and we're going to take some time to sit and meditate, breathe, and notice our internal state. Notice our breath, come back to our breath every single time. Thank you. Sorry, I have cramp. So we sit with our spine straight, eyes closed, slightly upturned, chin parallel to the floor. And we'll do a few breaths together. Start with all the breath out. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. In. Hold. Out. In. Hold. Out. In. Hold. Out. Last one. In. Hold. Out. In with a double exhale. Let all the breath come in. Let the breath go out. Now just let the breath enter and exit the body naturally, with no forcing, no trying to control. Just let your attention come back to the breath and notice what it's doing. And every time your thoughts wander, bring them gently back to the breath. And be here now.